God, this video is gonna be so hard to make because I keep going off on tangents because like I just keep getting heated. I just keep getting heated. Hey, hi, hello, hi, hey, it is Bumble Tea Cosplay and I am back at it again with another video. Since convention season is rapidly approaching, we are faced with an unprecedented amount of cosplayers who have never been to a convention before. Due to the very unique circumstances of the Panini, a lot of new cosplayers are joining the cosplay community without really knowing what it's truly like. And with that, they don't really know the rules, both spoken and un, of conventions and etiquette that they should generally know. So with that, I'm going to be talking a lot more about the do's, don'ts, ins, outs, ups, downs, goods, bads of cons, and what you should be expecting from it. Also, if you like my content, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button down below. It would mean the absolute world to me. I make a lot of content like this and tutorials and other fun makeup things. It would also mean a lot if you would like, comment, and share this video because it does help me get a little bit more reach and it does show more people my content. So if you could please, I would greatly appreciate it. But without further ado, let us get into the video. Before I really dig into this video, I do want to say that I have been cosplaying for 10 years and I've been going to cons for like say probably 8 years. I've been going to cons for 8 years. And then I've also asked people who've been going to cons way longer than me about these scripts and about these ideas that I have. And we've all generally said the same things. This isn't just me saying this. This is generally what a lot of people are saying and important things that we need to talk about in a convention. To start, I'm going to be talking about something that I generally feel like isn't discussed as frequently. And I'm going to be very blunt about it. You are still in public. You are still out in the real world. It doesn't matter if you're around other nerdy people and other people who love the same things you love and maybe act the same ways that you do. You still have to be respectful of the place that you are at, the people around you, and what you are doing. Your actions still have consequences, and people still can see you, hear you, perceive you. Keep in mind, when you are at a convention, you can be banned. It takes a lot of different cogs to make a convention function, and if one of those goes wrong, and if something disrupts that convention staff is going to get rid of that problem. And if that problem is you being rude, unruly, causing property damage, anything like that, you are going to be removed from the convention and banned. Because conventions can get banned from the convention center. They can get banned from the convention center, the hotels, the surrounding hotels in that area that a lot of people go to for those cons. They can get banned from those because of the way that the guests are acting. Your actions still have very intense consequences whenever you go to a convention. You have to be aware of that, and you have to be respectful of your space. Speaking of public settings, God, these segues are so great, guys. I'm really good at segues. When you're at a convention, you're oftentimes in a hotel, and there are a lot of people at that hotel that are not involved with the convention. There are also families at these conventions. So you have to keep in mind when it gets super late at night, you can't be running up and down the hallways, you can't be like stomping around and yelling and screaming and laughing at like 4 o'clock in the morning as you're going to bed, because there's people who are actively trying to sleep. There are people who are on vacation, there are people who are on business trips. And in general, try to keep your more inappropriate cosplays till later in the evening. Usually around 8 p.m. at most cons, that's when the more inappropriate cosplays start coming out. Try to keep the more spicy content for later in the evening. I understand that you're not responsible for any of that and what they see, but you still have to be polite about it. Like, that's just generally being a nice person and not scarring children when they're like 6. Also, please be polite to convention staff. They are so overwhelmed with conventions. There is so much going on. I can't even begin with how messy certain cons get and how the convention staff has to deal with that. They're experiencing a huge surge in people, oftentimes really young people, who don't really clean up after themselves and who tend to leave their hotel a mess because they haven't really stayed in them before. Generally try to pick up after yourself, leave a place better than you found it. Don't leave stains all over the bathroom of your hotel room. Try to avoid getting face paint in the shower. Try to avoid getting dye on the pillows. If you dye your hair right before a con, put a towel, bring a towel from home, and lay it over the hotel pillow so that you don't get the dye on the pillow. That's just common sense. Don't dye your hair in the hotel bathroom. Don't try to, I hate that this is a story. Don't try to dye your skin gray for a cause. Don't try to dye your skin a different color by throwing a bunch of Sharpies in a tub. Don't leave a bunch of trash laying around. Don't wreck your hotel room and then expect it to be cleaned up. And don't go to like different areas and just leave a giant mess behind you. There's other people who have to be in that same space, and a lot of the time the convention staff can't get around fast enough to clean up after you because they're cleaning up all the tens of thousands of other messes that people are making. Be careful, be aware, clean up after yourself, be respectful. These people are just doing their job. Don't be mean to them. Like, they're just trying to do their job, and they are having to do it tenfold with how conventions are run. Make their job a little bit easier so they don't get sick of our weeaboo bullshit and kick us out of the cons in future years. And just to reiterate, conventions can be banned from convention centers and hotels because of how their guests act. So be aware of that. You are a guest when you're at a convention. Don't walk around acting like you own the place. Just because you paid to be there, so did so many other people. This also brings up a good point for those who are going to conventions but are experiencing people like that. Con security is your friend. If you don't feel comfortable going to convention security, you can always go to convention staff. They're generally there volunteering to make the convention run smoothly and for everyone to have fun. So if they can't directly help you, they'll direct you to who can, or they'll help you with where you need to be. Now with that, I'm gonna move a little bit more into the cosplay portion of this. And unfortunately, it's still gonna kind of carry the same level that I've carried through the rest of this video. When it comes to cosplaying at a convention, you will see this sign absolutely everywhere. You will hear it all over social media leading up to conventions. You will see it all the time. Cosplay is not consent. I will say that again. Cosplay is not consent. It doesn't matter if someone is cosplaying your husbando, your waifu, your senpai, whatever. They don't owe you anything. You do not have permission to touch them, roleplay with them, take a photo with them, make an inappropriate comment at them without explicit permission. You are talking to a random stranger. You can't just jump in there and expect them to have a positive reaction. You have to respect people's boundaries. If they look at all uncomfortable, or if they flat out tell you no, you have to respect that. Again, cosplayers don't owe you anything. It doesn't matter if they are cosplaying something that everyone loves. That cosplayer is not that character. Hi, I'm actually very surprised I didn't talk about this in the video, but if you see a cosplayer cosplaying a villain or a character that you don't like or anything like that, don't yell obscenities at them, don't insult them, don't be rude to them and harass them. That is a human being. That is a random stranger that you don't know that you are now harassing. Leave them the fuck alone. Okay? Also, it's not a compliment to tell a character, oh, I hate this character, but you look good. Not a compliment. Doesn't feel good. Okay, back to the rest of the video. Keep that in mind when you approach them. You can't just yell something at a cosplayer and expect them to react positively. You just yelled something at a random stranger, which is very jarring when you don't know where it's coming from. If you are at a con, don't randomly snap photos of people without asking. We see it, we hate it. It feels uncomfortable. If you ask us for a photo, more often than not, we will say yes and we will pose for you so that we look nice and you see your cosplay and you see us and you're not taking a creepy photo where we're like slouched and talking to people or eating or doing something. A lot of cosplayers love when people ask for a photo. It makes me so happy when people like my cosplay enough to want a photo. Just ask the person if you can take a photo. You can literally say, could I get a photo of you really quickly? Or you could even say, hey, I really like your cosplay. Could I get a photo of you really quickly? That's all it takes. Literally all it takes. For the most part, we will say yes. If we say no, please respect that. We're not trying to be mean, we're not trying to be rude. We have our own reasons, we don't owe an explanation. Which leads me to a really good point. If you see a cosplayer and they are just chilling out, sitting on the floor, talking to people, or eating, or doing anything like that, or they have parts of their cosplay taken off, do us a favor, don't even ask. If a cosplayer has to stop what they're doing in order to take a photo for you, don't ask. If they're talking with people, sometimes you can say, excuse me, could I get a photo of you really quickly? But in general, if someone is sat down eating, don't ask. They are taking a break, they're resting, which is super hard to do at a con sometimes. Let them have their rest, let them eat, let them get rehydrated. Oftentimes you'll find them later, you'll be able to take a photo of them later, and if not, you can always ask them for their social media and just say, okay, cool, great, I'll find you later, and you will most likely find that cosplay on their page. Also, if a cosplayer has to physically put on their cosplay pieces to take a photo for you, don't ask. And no, you are not allowed to get upset with anybody if they say no to a photo, to role-playing, to anything that you ask. You are not allowed to get upset with them. I understand it might be disappointing, but it's really shitty when we say no and you get huffy about it, and you get mad at us for it. We don't owe you an explanation, we don't owe you anything. We are also there to have fun. Yes, we're in costume, yes, we're dressed up, no, we do not expect anything. Also, do not touch someone without permission. Do not touch someone without permission. Don't touch their props. Don't touch their costume. Don't touch their wig. Don't touch their person. Don't touch them unless you explicitly ask. Sometimes those cosplays can be fragile. Sometimes they can be super expensive and they just really rather people not touch them. And sometimes their makeup's not set and they're worried about that and they don't want anyone to touch them because of it. Don't touch them. Don't touch them. I have personally had several cosplay pieces ruined because people touch them without permission. I have had friends who've had $1,000 costume pieces get ruined because someone grabbed it without permission. Don't touch people's stuff without permission. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now that I've gotten a little too heated over that, let's go back to the photography aspect of all of this. If you see a photographer with a fancy DSLR and a cosplayer off to the side, that is likely a photo shoot, meaning that cosplayer is likely paying for that photographer's time, which they have a limited time slot for. That is not an opportunity for you to take a photo of them. Don't try to sneakily get a photo. I'm not joking when I say we always notice. We always see it and it's always uncomfortable. That is not a chance for you to just click a quick one. Do not ask the cosplayer if you can take a photo, do not ask the photographer if you can take a photo, and do not ask the photographer if they can take a photo of you. That is not only extremely rude to the cosplayer, but also to the photographer. They are there to do their job. When it comes to photographers at cons, you do not ask them to take a free photo of you just because they have a fancy DSLR. If a photographer likes your cosplay, they will ask to take a photo of you for a haul shot. But don't expect that in your first few cons, especially if you're still really new to cosplay. If anything, see if you can find a friend who will take a few photos of you so you do feel like you've still got that little bit of experience. And if you want your cosplay photographed, there are plenty of photographers who you can pay for their time. And they will take photos of you and they will edit them and they will look super nice for the most part. And keep in mind, if you get a bad vibe from anyone asking to take your photo, you are more than welcome to say no. Just like all the other cosplayers can say no if someone asks to take their photo, you're allowed to do the same thing. If a photographer says they want to do a photo shoot with you, like a free photo shoot with you, but they have to do it alone or they have to take you away from your friends, or no, there's just this perfect place over here, just come on, it's no big deal. Oh no, we don't need to tell anybody about it, just come with me really quickly. Don't go. Don't go. That's extremely unsafe. Don't go. That's not only creepy, but that's super predatory. And it happens frequently. Don't trust every photographer who says they want to do a free shoot with you. It's bad. Also, be aware of your surroundings, please. I know I said it earlier, but that's very important to be aware of your surroundings. Don't walk in front of someone getting their photo taken. It's very obvious when someone is getting their photo taken. Someone's standing back here. There is a sudden wide gap of space between that person and a cosplayer. Don't walk there. Try your best to avoid the space around them and just walk around. If possible, walk behind the photographer. If it happens and you actually walk into that space, quickly get out of the way and apologize after you've left that little space. Your best bet is to skedaddle out of there and then turn back and say, sorry, and then keep on moving. But you need to pay attention so you're not interrupting friend groups, you're not interrupting photos, you're not interrupting any like little gatherings. Be aware of your surroundings, recognize where you're at, and just kind of get yourself out of that bubble a little bit. I know that when I first started going to cons, I would start to bubble a bit, where I would be so unaware of my surroundings that I would bump into people, I would like fully miss where I was going, I would walk in front of photos, I would get into a bubble. But you have to understand that when you go to cons, you are still in public. You still have to be respectful of everyone around you, and you still have to be aware of what you're doing. This is all to make conventions safe and fun for everyone. I will have more videos to come in this series. It is a super important thing to talk about, but there is still so much to cover that I didn't cover in today's video. If you like this, please don't hesitate to hit the like button down below, and if you could, share this around with your friends, get the word out a little bit more, and help people have a bit more of a fun convention. If you'd like to see more from me, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. It would mean the absolute world to me, and it could kind of motivate me to post more, honestly. It keeps me going. It keeps me making feel like I'm making something and I'm making a difference. Also, feel free to follow my other social media at bumblet.cause or bumbletcause, and that way you can see more of my cosplay and more things that I do. Well, I think that's it for the rest of this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!